As long as you have the desire to pray, and you know that your life cannot proceed apart from your prayer efforts, then you will take prayer seriously. Prayer must be taken seriously. Just like when you go to work and you know that the money that comes from this work, my salary is what will keep us. Then you see yourself struggling to make sure you don't have an issue with your boss or with your workplace so they don't throw you out. It's the same way we should have that with prayer. And prayer gives us much more. No one was born with the ability to pray. No, it's not a natural thing. It's not something of the flesh. It is a spiritual thing. Anything you are today in prayer is a function of grace. Yes, grace is applied. As you pray, the grace of God comes in your prayer to give you that enablement, to give you that support. I never thought I'll be able to do 3 days dry fast. How? When I was in university, it never came to my mind. It never. Until one day God demanded it. And he said, you need to take the women through a 3 days dry fast every beginning of the year. I was like, are you sure, Lord, that people will subscribe to this 3 days dry and quiet, you said? I said, wow. I said, okay, I will announce as you have said. And I announced it. I said, the day is going to be 2nd to 4th. First day of the year, eat all the rice you can. Because by the 2nd day, you go on a journey. I wasn't expecting much people to come, honestly. Even myself, I was still watching myself like, are you sure I can do this? Dinah, are you sure you're not carrying people to death? The day came. Oh my God. I prepared because, you see, everything was together for good. When God gave me the school, I didn't know that he was also preparing hostels. I didn't know he was preparing hostels for a boarding facility for women to come to pray and do dry fast and stay indoors. And so when he planted that school, I thought it was all about school. But every other thing came. So I said, okay, how are we going to do this? I don't know any venues. All my school I know. So I said, we will clean out like 3 classrooms, 2. I think it was 2 classrooms I cleaned out and a big hall for prayer. Then the other 2 classrooms will take our mattresses and stay in for sleeping. And lo and behold, we put the attendance. And people started coming, 1 trickling in, 1, 2. I was surprised. The first surprise I had was when one man actually brought his wife in his car with her load, her bucket, her mattress, everything. I was shocked. I said, this man believes so much in what we are doing. He bundled his wife here. I said, my God. I said, this is a surprise for me. And people started turning up. Before people started coming. I said, I reminded them, it's a dry fast. You're not going to eat anything, They said, yes, they know. I said, oh, really? So let me buckle my own belt. And then people, the long and short of it, the women that showed up for the first time were over 50 for a 3 days dry fast. And through it, I had never done it before. That was my first time. Because it was corporate. You are the leader. You have to live by example. Oh my God. The first day, everybody was kabashing, kaputam, pete, pala. Even me, by the 2nd day, it was like we're dragging our feet to the place of prayer. In fact, the sleep that night was so sweet. And then we just said, Welcome, it's time to wake up for prayer. It was like they put a heavy stone on me. I said, is this how this is? So someone who has been doing dry, 7 days dry every month, told us, that's how 2nd day, 3rd day, it becomes like that. So I said, okay, God, if I'm feeling like this, how would 3rd day be? And I still have to lead. So the first day, the 2nd day, I said, Sister Carol, lead. It's not me you want to kill here. I'm not the only one that knows how to pray. Lead. So I shared it. I shared everything. I said, it's only me. And people keep queued in, and that was how we did it corporately. By the third day, we got home. I don't know where the strength came from. It came from the Lord. And I saw women on fire praying. I say, this is 3 days dry fast. People haven't eaten. They haven't. I say, Lord, this is a great sacrifice. Lord, use this sacrifice to bless these women. Whatever they are looking up to you for. And truly that day was. And from that day, all the times we call for dry fast, the last one, they were about 200 and something, or 150, 80 something or so that came for the dry fast. In fact, the hall is too small now. We don't even know how next year is going to be. But God will always make a way because it's what He wanted. So this is sacrifice. It's something you do deliberately. Those women, they came deliberately. They were tired of the situations around their lives. They say, is this how we will keep going? Why sit we here still till we die? We move on. And they came. It's time to shake yourself. This is what other women are doing. Me too, I can join in. I can do it. And that was how, for myself, I didn't know that I could. I now knew that the grace of God is available. Even in prayer, I say, I don't know how to pray. Anytime I pray, nothing comes. The grace of God is available. Ask Him for that grace. When He sees you're conscious about it, He sees you're deliberate about it. He sees that even when you come, you do it fleshly. First day, second day, He will supply His Spirit. The entire infrastructure of the flesh system is opposed to prayer. Yes, the entire infrastructure of the flesh doesn't like prayer. Because prayer is an invitation on God, who happened to be the only personality that can deal with the entire architecture of the fallen nature, to come on the scene. He's the only one. God is the only one that can deal with that architecture of flesh. And so when we call upon Him, He will supply His Spirit. There are also hidden satanic systems built into the fall to ensure that we don't find that level of help from God. So the devil doesn't even want us to partake in prayer or to even start any prayer initiative anywhere. When you want to start, he will come with power to oppress you, to suppress you, to subdue you. But you too, you need to stand. Say, this prayer, when will I be able to pray like this? I move. There's something that is locked in the soul of man that resists prayer. It's called haste. A haste is locked in the soul of man. And this haste does not manifest until somebody wants to pray. So you will come and suddenly you start wanting to leave the presence of God. There's no time. Some of us come into prayer. We'll start looking at the time. Move. That haste is to make sure you don't enter. Maybe you only touched the surface, then the haste took you out. You couldn't touch the depth of prayer. Haste is supplied in the world system to make sure you never enter or engage in prayers. You see that in gisting, the haste does not come. In gossiping, a haste does not come. You even say, when somebody say, sister, I have one gist for you, say, sit down. Let me hear. You will get the seat. Say, sit down. Gist me. You have all the time. You don't even care. It's like watching a serious movie. You keep staying there and hearing, really? And you keep staying there. So you see, there's no haste. Then you know that those are things of the flesh. So nothing is opposed to it. But when it comes to prayer, it's time we deliberately come into the place of prayer and we're not looking at time. If you know that that's where your life will spring from, then you prosecute it properly. Stay there. You come like Esther and say, this one is unto death. Oh. If I die, I die. I stay here until you hear me, Lord. Until you answer me. What is needed to sustain this life of prayer mode? Let us look at Acts chapter 2, verse 42. It says, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and in prayers. The word there is continued. They continued. They continued steadfastly, deliberately. Every day they met. They did not want to give Satan any chance. Every day they met, and they grew in their number. They grew in their number. As they came together, they became more powerful. These are the men that turned the world upside down. It was in that place where they continued, they received power. They received fire to do what God called them to do what Jesus called them out of their daily routines to do. They continued steadfastly. This steadfastly is the prescription, is the way, that's the style, that's the lifestyle. Leviticus chapter 1 verse 7, please. Says the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire on the altar and lay the wood in order on the fire. So our duty as priests is to put fire upon what? The altar. The duty of the priest is to put fire upon the altar. We all have an altar, which is our heart, right? That's our altar. Our heart is our altar. And that means that heart, because out of this heart comes forth the issues of life. So God has to deal with your heart. He has to remove every debris that has taken over that heart. And so he begins to deal with you and take you through process, because that is your altar. You cannot relate with him other than your heart. Your heart is where God prosecutes what he wants to do. So if he comes to that heart and the heart is not ready for him, he can't do anything there. That's why I said, even when you come to give your offering in church and you have something and ought against your neighbor, say, drop that. Don't give me. Go back to your neighbor. Ask for forgiveness. Reconcile. Then come back and give me. He's more concerned about your heart than what you are giving. Because first of all, he wants you to give yourself before you give your substance, so that your substance will be accepted. Look inwards. Look at your heart. You need to ask God to help you to make prayer part of your lifestyle. Because without it, how will you move?